again, with this whole message about marriage and divorce, keep in mind God forgives. It's really forgiving God. Jesus died for divorce. Jesus died for brokenness. Jesus died for all of our faults and their faults and everybody's faults and everything. So it's really awesome. Now, in the next video, I'm going to end in this marriage talk on hoping that you, as a young person, will do some of my tips on how to have a good relationship where you have a good marriage between your partner when you get older. Then you won't get in the trap of the enemy and the trap of other people splitting your marriage, and you'll have a really successful time together, and it'll be beautiful and wonderful. Sure, it's not going to be perfect. None of these guys are perfect. None of you are perfect. I'm not perfect. And yet, with God's help, we can really work it together and have a really good, really sweet relationship as a rule. There's going to be exceptions and difficulties for sure. But I want to, before I get into, I kind of wrote up 10 things here. And it could be more, some may have even better stuff. I have some of my stuff. Yeah, it's really good. You probably already know some of it. But anyway, I want to say a statement that I heard recently. It's really good. It says this: remember this. It's much easier to be single and want to be married. A lot of single people, when they get older, they want to be married. If you're young, you might go, I don't want to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I understand. But let's say you get older and you do want to get married. It's much easier to be single and want to be married than to be married and want to be single. Think about that. It's much easier to be single person, and want to be married. Ooh, I would love to be married. People are like longing for that and all. Then to be married, let's say you married the wrong person, quote unquote, the wrong person, and now you want to be single. Now you're stuck. Jesus doesn't want you to divorce that person as a rule. There might be few exceptions, like, you're going through physical abuse or other types of abuses and all. No, not good. But it's much easier to be single and want to be married than to be married and want to be single. Like, this single person is kind of sad. They shouldn't be. You should look up to Jesus. Just have that relationship with him. It'll keep you like full of joy and all. It's much easier to be single and then you don't have a person than to be married, and you'd rather be single now because you married the wrong person. So that's a really good thought. Just keep in mind that that's important. And if a person were to divorce, and then I recommend not marrying again. And you go, but that's impossible. No, it isn't. Lots of people are single. Lots of people commit themselves to the mission field, and they're really seeking God, and it's okay, to remain single and all. But that's a different subject. But here it is: how to marry the quote unquote right person. I mean, there's not going to be Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect. I'll say that right now. And is that the right person? When you live right, and hopefully they'll live right, and it'll work out. And yours can overcome theirs, by the way. The right is it's stronger than the wrong. And most of the time, you can bear it out and actually the person changes. But anyway, here it is. How to marry the right person. The first thing is to have a deep relationship with God. So just think about that. If each one of them if he focuses on him having a deep, intimate, real close relationship with God, like he's got really close and he's doing what he wants him to do and he's living it right and all that, then you're going to have a good relationship. And you're going to figure out who to marry better too, because you're close to God. God will not lead you astray. He's not going to lead you wrong. And God knows the future of everyone. And that's why you need to pray until you hear from God. These are major right here. I would never get married unless I heard from God that this is the right person for me, that God is leading me in this marriage. Now, some people don't agree with this. It's kind of your choice. Sure, it's your choice. But he knows that person. He knows what they really are like. He also knows whether they're going to change or not. So I trust God, and I'm not going to marry. That's too big of a decision unless I know that God is leading me to that person. If you have that marriage will work. A lot of people just go by what they feel and what they think, and they don't wait on God. That's another one coming up here, but here it is. One is have a deep relationship and walk with God. Walk closely to God. 2 is pray until you hear from God. See, that's major right there. I think you're going to have a real good decision when you know that God has led you to that person. 3 is stay in the Word continually. There's just something about the Bible that's supernatural and powerful. And if you stay continually reading the Word and studying it and all, it's wisdom in there. And wisdom is profitable to direct. It directs you. Ecclesiastes 10:10. And oh my goodness, in Proverbs it says what wisdom will do. It leads you and gives you the right paths. And oh, it's fantastic. Wisdom is a principal thing. So you need, wisdom means making good decisions, sound judgment, sound decisions, healthy decisions, and right decisions. Stay in the Word continually. Just by reading the Bible all the time, you'll get a lot of answers. 4, I would suggest write a list beforehand, like now, when you're young, what he or she must have. Like have it in your already mind that, okay, number one, I'm not going to marry anyone unless there's a Christian, unless they're a Christian following Christ. That eliminates most of the world right there. Okay, I don't have to deal with all that. If they're not Christians, I'm not interested. But then even if they say they're Christians, that's why you need to go back to 2 and say, are they really Christian or are they faking it? Just to try and get me. Happens a lot, by the way. So you got to go back to number 2, and that is pray until you hear from God. Stay in the Word continually. 4 is write a list before what he or she must have. There's certain things that they have to be. Like, for example, they have to be godly. They have to have Christ in their lives. Jesus needs to be more important than you are to that person. That person needs to love God more than you. And it's a good word I got from a wonderful young lady years ago, and that's really, it's good. So, I mean, you need to have that. Number 2, is that person godly? Like, that's a list, that person has to live holy, godly, pure, not perfect necessarily, but pure. Number 3, is that person ever tell me a lie? It's got to be totally 100% honest all the time. Because if they're lying to you now, then they could lie to you while they're with you and having an affair with someone. So if a person lies, it's kind of over for me. If they're a liar, they're lying. So honesty has got to be a must. Very truthful, and you'll catch people in lies unless they're always honest, and you'll catch them in honesty all the time. All right, truth tellers and other things. But other things aren't as important. How tall they are, how this, how that. Whatever. They need to be hardworking type. They're not lazy type. It's going to hurt your marriage. You need to know whether you want kids when you get older. So I would never marry someone unless God made it happen. He told me I would never marry someone unless they want a bunch of kids. Or adoption or whatever. So, I mean, there's big things that you have to kind of know what you want and what God seems to be putting on your heart. Let's go over them again. Deep relationship with God. Pray until you hear from God. Stay in the Word continually. So it's deep, pray, stay. Write a list. Know what and keep that in front of you. And if they don't check off a lot of those things on the list, maybe the lower ones you may give up or something, but they got to have some of this stuff or forget it. That just helps you make the right person and pick the right person. Get godly counsel. Get advice from people. Know people in your life to tell what your views are and what this person is. You can tell them about them and have them meet them, which is the next one coming up. But godly counsel, like, what do you think about this? I think I'm doing the right thing. Get people around you that are wise and elderly a lot of times and know more than you. And godly counsel, make sure they're godly. Bring the person around a lot of godly friends. So if you're going to marry someone, have them come around all the people that are really good in your life, godly. They'll help protect you if they're saying, this is not the right person for you, but I like him or I like her and all. And everyone's saying one other thing, you need to really listen to advice. Unless God tells you something differently, I don't think he will. All right, but anyway, next one. Wait on God. Wait on God. It goes back to number 2. Wait until you hear from God. But wait on God in your relationship. Take it slow, which is the next one. Don't rush. Take your time. Slow down. But I like him or I like her. You want to be with her and all that. I want to be with them all. Take your time. Don't rush into relationships. Slow it down. Could be like 2, 3, 4 years or whatever. Now, sometimes as God leads it quicker, but it's under God's direction here. Another one is observe and watch that person very carefully and take an honest look. Take honest looks at that person. Because some people will like, well, I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to ignore that. That person just lied or acting that way and has an anger problem. That's going to be a problem later. So you need to observe and watch and take honest look at the person. You never marry someone that's immature. And that's why boyfriend-girlfriend relationships should be out of the question. No boyfriend, girlfriend until you're like mature yourself, like 19, 20, 21, 23, 25. Get up there more mature, not kids stuff. Don't be teenagers. Oh my goodness. It's a mess. Too much drama, too much pain, too much hurt. And they're not mature. And the relationships of marriage should be mature. You should have your act together. That person should have their act together independently. They should be independent. They're not dependent on others. And they're whole. They conduct themselves well. They're mature. They have control over their emotions. They're controlling their minds. They're controlling their bodies. They're controlling their time. You know, all that. They're control. They're very temperate. They're mature. Then that person can marry another mature person, and now you have more of a chance to have a better relationship and a right person. Don't marry someone immature, trying to help them out. Help them out as friends, but not as a married couple. They should be mature. Observe and watch and take honest look at who they are. Don't blind yourself. Don't lie to yourself, deceive yourself. 10 is stay away from physical, almost all physical, meaning, you know, stay away from physical, like kissing and all that stuff. Oh no, Gordon, you're talking about that? Yep. These guys did it right. They weren't physical, maybe, you know, holding hands a little bit, maybe, but not much after that. Like, no physical. They're not going to be doing a lot of kissing and hugging and all that. No. Stay away from physical. Get a friendship. It's friendship. It's emotion, spiritual friendship. That's what you build your relationship on. And the physical comes later. All right, so I think that's good. That gives you some thought. And thanks for listening to this series here that we're talking about Know the Bible, and specifically all these videos about this idea of marriage and divorce. It's a very important topic, isn't it? So pray a lot, get close to God, let him lead you, and he'll guide you in your affairs and in your life and your business and in your even marriage partners. Amen? Thank you for listening. God bless you.